Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC 250, Nunes versus Spencer. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card and our first prelim fight. So in our first fight, we have a catchweight bout at 150, Evan Dunham versus Herbert Burns. So look at this fight right here. You can look at Evan Dunham as a good candidate to upset Herbert Burns, or at least stop his momentum by beating him, because Herbert Burns doesn't have the best striking. He still needs to polish that. He already has world-class jiu-jitsu, so you can't take that away from him. And his takedown, his takedown offense needs work. Like his wrestling needs work, because he's a BJJ guy, not a wrestler. But his wrestling needs work. His striking needs some work. But he has a solid jiu-jitsu. He's a solid fighter, but those areas need work. And going against Evan Dunham, a fighter who has pretty solid wrestling, solid striking, solid jiu-jitsu. It's not Herbert Burns level jiu-jitsu, but I think he can hold his own in jiu-jitsu with Herbert Burns, at least in the MMA style of jiu-jitsu, like in an MMA match. Not in a pure BJJ match, but in an MMA match, he can hold his own with him. But all that being said, also Evan Dunham has that experience. Well, he has world-class experience. He's fought pretty much at one time all the best guys that were around back then. There's new waves of lightweight fighters and stuff that he hasn't fought, but a couple years ago, he literally fought like everybody that was anybody in the lightweight division and even beat some of them. So Evan Dunham was a solid fighter like 3-4 years back. Now he's kind of more so one of those fighters that's on that way out or should have been out. I think Evan Dunham like 38, 39. But to more so get to the point of this one right here, I think Evan Dunham has the skills to beat Burns. I think he has the experience to beat Burns, but I just don't think he's in the right place. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak, both to body shots or body strikes. And he's been out for nearly 2 years. So 2-fight losing streak, both finishes, both body shots, and out for nearly 2 years. Now he's coming against a young up-and-coming fighter who has a brother in Gilbert Burns who's looking solid and he's training along with. I think they're definitely going to attack that body. I think, yes, Herbert Burns' striking needs some improvement. Yes, his wrestling can improve more. But I think at this point, Evan Dunham, he's up there in age, hasn't been active, and hasn't really been looking good at all out there. So a guy like Herbert Burns, with that team he has, that striking team, they could definitely make some more attacks to the body. I think Evan Dunham's going to look all right early, but Herbert Burns going to play a little bit safe. Then we start finding the openings for those shots to the body. I think he starts to take full advantage of those, start to make Evan Dunham worry about those shots. Then catch him with stuff over the top. And then basically go back to the body, hit him to the body, make him drop. Then I think once he takes the opportunity of Evan Dunham falling down, I think he goes for submission. And I think he submits him in that second round. So in this fight, I got Herbert Burns via second round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the light heavyweight division, Alonzo Menifield versus Devin Clark. So look at this fight right here. I was actually going to lean to Devin Clark at first to be like a blanket like he does to some of the other fighters, like maybe more so kind of one-dimensional striker type fighters that are explosive and have power. Just kind of hold him against the cage and kind of lay on him, not really going for the finish. Devin Clark style. And even though I'm kind of discrediting Devin Clark right now, it's actually true about him. He kind of be a blanket out there. He's not, at this level, he's not really a finisher or hasn't been proven to be a good finisher at this level. And also has proven not to really have the highest wrestling cardio at this level. But yeah, he has all that stuff despite all the stuff I'm saying about him, if he worked on some things, he could be a very dangerous fighter in this division. But I just feel like he hasn't been shown ability, or he hasn't been shown that he will do these things to make himself a better fighter at this division. So I'm going to judge it how I've seen it, or what I see from what I see. So from what I have seen about Devin Clark, I feel like he's gonna go out there, like I said, he's gonna try to be a blanket, he's gonna try to take a lot of Menifield down. Let me talk about Menifield for a second. Menifield is a very explosive fighter. He didn't really have the lengthiest athletic background in school or in anywhere. I think it was football. He was an orphan, did football in high school, was introduced to it in high school, had some good success, but didn't really go further than that. I don't think he wrestled. So really, he got some good hips. He's strong. He can defend some takedowns. No real wrestling ability, except defensively. No real jiu-jitsu. I'm sure he works on it, but from what I've seen, no real grappling ability. And he's a striker. And not even the cleanest striking thing, but he's explosive and has power. So what I see in this fight is that Devin Clark going to try to go out there and be a blanket, try to take him down, try to hold on him. And I feel like Devin Clark will more so burn himself out trying to, deal with this strong fighter, trying to take him down, try to hold on to him. And then eventually Devin Clark, let me say nothing about Devin Clark. His striking defense is pretty poor. He had all those big arms, but he don't know how to put them. He don't know how to move that head. He don't know how to move those arms. He don't know how to keep those arms up. They're always kind of falling down. I think after a while, trying to weigh on Menifield and tie him up for the fight. I think once Menifield finds that space and Clark starts to slow down, I think Menifield starts to unload on him, and I think kind of towards the late part of that second round, like he starts to really unload him. Like in that late stage of that second round, I think he puts him out and gets that second round TKO. So in this fight, I have Alonzo Menifield via second round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the flyweight division, Alex Perez versus Jussier Formiga. So for me with this fight right here, Formiga, a world-class BJJ practitioner. That's an understatement. He's a very solid BJJ, like he's an exceptional BJJ practitioner, world-class. Well, am I understating it? Not really, but yeah, solid BJJ. And that's what he came in with. That's what he still has. And then over time, he's been improving his fight IQ, been improving his wrestling and mixing in with his jiu-jitsu. And he's been working on the striking, so he's become a much better fighter. But at this point right now, he's still not the best striker. He's a solid striker. And you probably could be some lesser tier strikers or guys that have, well, I'm not going to go all of that, but basically the point of this fight right here with Alex Perez. Alex Perez, solid striking. He's a bigger 155. I mean, I said 155, a bigger flyweight, 125. He's a bigger one, a more physical one. He's very strong out there, very good in the scrambles, very strong. And what Formiga likes to do, especially at the higher, the more promising or the more dangerous fighters for him at his level that he's at in the divisions, he really thrives off taking them down and controlling them. And I feel like in a fight where he's going against a fighter with this output and this level of striking, he will need to get to the fight to the ground and need that control. And he can't really lay on him like he did on Sergio Pettis, because Perez is a fighter that has very solid wrestling, very good in the scramble, very hard to take down, very hard to do anything with. And he also is a fighter that likes to impose as well, as far as in the takedown and in striking. So I feel like Formiga really won't be able to take him down. If he does, I don't think he'll be able to hold him down. Then it really comes down to striking. Perez's output is higher. He's a better striker. He has, so like, matter of fact, let me just go all stats. Perez throws like 3 times as many strikes as Formiga. He has like 10% more accuracy with his strikes. So he's drawing more strikes and he's landing at a better clip than Formiga. And I think reach-wise, I think Formiga actually has a 1-inch reach advantage, gives up a 1-inch height advantage. So the reach and the height roughly the same, but it's going to come down to the fact that Perez can scramble, he can get up, he outworks Formiga, and he lands more than Formiga and at a better clip. And I think that's the tell of the fight. I think it's another competitive fight. Formiga definitely going to be looking for these takedowns and definitely be trying to take the fight to where he can have the advantage. But I just think it's going to be mostly Perez not allowing him to go to where he'll have his advantage and it'll be a striking match where Perez just simply outstrikes Formiga on the feet and beats him to a decision. So in this fight, I got Alex Perez via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the middleweight division, Charles Byrd versus Mikey Pitolo. So in this fight right here, as far as Mikey Pitolo goes, I see him as a very gritty fighter. He's definitely going to be in your face, going to put all his effort and all his will into his punches. He's going to definitely try to cut the cage off and pretty much beat upon you. But for me with Mikey Pitolo is that he's too straightforward in his approach. Like, not enough setups, not enough, like, the footwork not clean enough. He's not bringing as many, mixing, like, pretty much he doesn't mix it up as much as he needs to. Like, you go to the higher level, you got to mix it up. Like, you can have the most power, or you can have the most cardio, the most this, the most that, but there's more layers to it at the higher level. You got to be able to mix up, you got to create angles, you can't just be too predictable out there. And he's a solid fighter. I think all around he's a solid fighter. But I think Charles Byrd just has more tools, and he's better at mixing those tools up. I think he's a more physically opposing fighter. I think he's a better grappler. I think he sets the stuff up a little bit better than Pitolo, but I think Pitolo definitely works more than him. So I see Pitolo wins is going to be basically outlasting Byrd and then enforcing his will upon Byrd. But I feel like Byrd will be able to consistently enforce his will upon Pitolo, mixing and striking and grappling, cage stalling and takedowns, and really be able to fight a pretty smart fight to beat Pitolo. Might even be able to get a submission in there, but I'm going to kind of rule that out for now. And that's more so going to be Byrd with his control, footwork, setting the stuff up, creating different angles so he could get to these shots and get to these cage controls and get into these clinches and pretty much wear Pitolo out and prevent him from ever getting into his game, get into his groove, and get into his work. So really, that's basically what I'm saying. So in this fight, I got before I get into prediction, just avoid holding on to takedowns too long, because he did get knocked out by Shabazian because he was holding on to a takedown way too long. You get an elbow in the head, your senses, like your feet, your knees turning into mush, your feet falling. But yeah, your knees turn into mush. Let go of the takedown. It's okay to let go of a takedown, but if he does that again, he's getting knocked out. But if he sticks to his game plan and this fight's a little bit smarter than he's did in some of the other fights, he can win. I mean, he should win. So in this fight, I have Charles Byrd via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Cody Stamann versus Brian Kelleher. So look at this fight right here. Yeah, so look at this fight right here. But yeah, as far as Brian Kelleher, I think he's the cleaner striker between the two. I think he's the more, I say, well-rounded in a way than the two. Like, he's more technical with his grappling than Stamann is. Stamann's more like a hard-nosed, in-your-face wrestler, whereas Brian Kelleher has some nice little setups on the feet with his striking, some nice power, some nice combos, combinations. He has solid jiu-jitsu on top and on top and on bottom. Just a good understanding of the grappling, like, especially in the aspect of MMA and not just pure jiu-jitsu. So he's a very solid fighter. But I'm definitely leaning the Stamann in this one. I don't think that Kelleher can't really stop Stamann on the feet, because Stamann's chin is phenomenal. He's taken a lot of clean shots. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just don't see it happening. Only way I see the fight really going is for Kelleher, if he does win, is a decision. I don't really see that happen. I just really to see every way this playing out with Stamann, because I don't see Kelleher getting a finish, and I think he'll need to get a finish in the fight against a guy like Stamann, who's relentless, physical, imposing, heavy wrestling, strong, and can really just like neutralize a lot of fighters that can't defend his takedown. I don't see Kelleher's takedown defense is the highest. I think definitely he'll have to worry about Kelleher's, jiu-jitsu, but Stamann's a solid grappler. Very sturdy, very gritty, and it's hard to submit guys like that. Most times when we submit guys, like when they kind of submit, if a guy's constantly moving, constantly defending, constantly in your face, and constantly working the whole time, and, powering through these submissions, a perfect submission, no matter how much heart you guys gonna tap you out, but I think you're going to need a really good, I think Stamann's going to allow him to get in that such a good position. Like more so times he's going to have him not ready or not quite in position, and Stamann's going to be able to either power through those submissions or be able to find just that little bit of air, breathe, wear Kelleher's arms out, and just constantly be in his face. Like I said, basically in his face, taking him down, striking with him. Yes, Kelleher is the better striker, but Stamann's going to be holding his own in the feet and then getting these takedowns and really just being relentless, work. It's out really the point, just wrestling, gritty, grinding in his face, outworking him over the course of 3 rounds. And I see him beating Kelleher to decision. So in this fight, I got Cody Stamann via decision. Now to our co-prelim headliner we have in the middleweight division, Ian Heinisch versus Gerard Meerschaert. So this is a fight that I've been going back and forth with for a while. Really this is why the video got pushed back a little bit, because I'm just so stuck on this fight. But now I'll come to my conclusion for this fight. So looking at Gerard Meerschaert versus Ian Heinisch, or Ian Heinisch versus Gerard Meerschaert, I see Gerard Meerschaert as the more well-rounded fighter. He has the cleaner striking overall. He has more ways to win. He can win by knockout, can win by submission, or by decision. But that key last one, decision, like he has not won a fight by decision in the UFC. But we'll get back to that. On the other end, Ian Heinisch has only won fights by decision as far as in the UFC. But he has won fights by submission outside the UFC. He's won fights by knockout outside the UFC. I think at this UFC level, he'll only probably be able to win via KO or decision. I don't think he'll submit anybody at this level. But Gerard Meerschaert can definitely do all 3 at this level and against high-level competition. But the more key thing about this fight for me between these two is that how they win. It's like come down to work rate. Ian Heinisch has specifically, like as far as winning in the UFC, has come down to work rate. He has 4 opponents that came out and like pretty much blasting them early, and then he weathered the storm, and when they tire, he just walks them down and beats them. That's the only way he's won in the UFC. Whereas Meerschaert has won multiple ways. But as far as this fight right here, I don't see it going to a finish, because Ian Heinisch has had one of those fighters that has a tough chin. He's good in the scrambles. Hard to really get him flat anywhere, because it's hard to keep him flat on his back, because he's always scrambling. It's hard to submit him. We've seen him fight like 2 world-class jiu-jitsu players, and they have not been able to submit him. He's very slippery, very hard to deal with, very hard to put away. So I don't see a finish happening in this fight either way. Ian Heinisch works a little bit more than Meerschaert. I think Meerschaert has a significant reach over Ian Heinisch, but we saw in his last fight, he wasn't able to use that fight. He was fighting like a literal basic midget for that weight class. And the midget was able to get into his face and tag him up at times. And so and even other fights, we haven't really, even though his reach is like a 77-inch reach and supposed to seem longer, his reach never seems long. He never uses it to his full advantage. So I don't expect that to be any different. But I really see this fight is coming down to a close matchup. Maybe mixing them grappling here and there. Both men, I don't think neither men are fighters that are notorious for gassing. They're both guys that work hard and are always going to be there until you put them away. Well, in Heinisch's case, we haven't seen him put away inside the UFC. But both guys are going to be there from the start to the end. So it's gonna be, I just see it's a very close, gritty fight. He and Heinisch has a little bit higher work rate. I think his pressure is going to factor in his favor, that he's going to be pressuring Meerschaert. maybe make some takedowns and be willing to make some risks out there. And if he does make mistakes, he has a scramble ability to get back to his feet. So what we got to see is Heinisch's work rate being the factor that wins the fight for him. It's going to be a close fight, probably go either way, but Heinisch's work rate is going to win for us. It's going to be that slight margin that he has is going to allow him to win. Pressing forward, outworking Meerschaert, getting it inside and working. It's going to be a close fight. And then why I bring up the decisions, because Meerschaert's every decision fight that Meerschaert had in the UFC has went to a split decision. And he has lost at the split decision. Like whether he should have won or should have won it or not, he has lost all fights that went to decision in the UFC by split decision. So I see if this fight is close and it goes to decision, I feel like Heinisch will do a little bit more. And even if he doesn't do a little bit more or he does a little bit less or close, I feel like in a close fight that goes to decision, like I feel like the judge is going to lean towards Heinisch or lean against Meerschaert. So in this fight, I have Heinisch via decision. Now to our prelim headliner we have in the featherweight division. Alex Caceres versus Chase Hooper. So looking at this fight right here, you got two lanky featherweights, Caceres at 5'10" and Hooper at 6'1". Hooper has some solid jiu-jitsu. He's like the jiu-jitsu version of Sean O'Malley, another young white kid with a fro, like a Jew fro. That's coming in with a lot of energy and a lot of style, a lot of pizzazz, but in his own way, his own person, his own individual. So, but it's like really to come down to the point of this one, right? I see Alex Caceres as a savvy, witty veteran versus a young, very young, like 20, 21-year-old Chase Hooper. I don't think his physique is all that up there just yet that he can really impose his will on Caceres, even though Caceres lets almost anyone impose their will on him. But I think Caceres definitely has the jiu-jitsu to hold his own with Hooper. I think striking-wise, Caceres can definitely take advantage fully on the feet. Way more experience on the feet, way more tactical on the feet. And overall, it's more that savvy veteran. I feel like it kind of be like, well, it's not even going to be like that fight. It's not going to be the Sergio Pettis fight because Hooper striking is the same. Hooper is like 6'1" and Sergio Pettis like 5'4". So it's not the same thing, but it's parallels that you're going in against a veteran. Yes, you come off a decent win, but you're going against a guy that can definitely challenge you in every area and challenge you all over the fight. And your experience is not at that level just yet. I think it's one of the fight where Alex Caceres' experience plays out for him. I think on the feet, he can give Hooper a lot of looks he has not seen, especially like maybe stuff you only seen in practice, but never in a real fight. Maybe even like really Caceres throws stuff that even at a high level you don't see. He just be throwing stuff out. So you'll be seeing a lot of stuff you haven't seen before. Caceres is probably faster on the feet than him. And I think in every aspect of this fight, Caceres can challenge him. And I think at this point, he's just a more technical fighter, the more experienced fighter. Hooper have a little bit more reach, a little bit more height, but maybe he might be a better jiu-jitsu, maybe a little bit this, maybe a little bit that. But overall, Caceres just in these areas, just a better fighter at this point in his career. And I see Caceres just fighting a smart veteran fight, giving Hooper a lot of looks that he's not ready for, and just outsmarting him and beat him into decision. And out techniquing him, out experiencing him, and just beat him into decision. So in this fight, I got Alex Caceres via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC 250, Nunes versus Spencer. And as always, thanks for watching. So in this